Let's begin with the next topic, Bohr's model for hydrogen atom. To overcome the drawbacks of Rutherford model and to explain the line spectrum of hydrogen atom, Niels Bohr proposed a model of atom which is based on Planck's quantum theory. So let's discuss the main features of this model of atom. The first postulate says that an atom consists of a small, heavy, positively charged nucleus in the center. So this is the positively charged nucleus in the center, and this nucleus is surrounded by electrons. These electrons revolve around the nucleus in certain circular path. You can see in the diagram, this is nucleus, and nucleus is surrounded by certain circular path, and the electrons revolve around the nucleus in these circular paths. These paths are known as orbits. So he first of all gave the term orbit. So what are orbits? These are the circular paths in which the electron revolve around the nucleus. These orbits have fixed radius, and these orbits have fixed amount of energy associated with them. Since each orbit has some fixed value of energy associated, these are also known as energy levels or shells. Okay, so these orbits are also known as energy levels or shells. He named them as K, L, M, N, O, P like this. Or these shells or orbits can be numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So this was the first postulate of Bohr atomic model. Now moving on to the second point of Bohr's atomic model, he said that the energy of an electron in the orbit does not change with time. Now what is the meaning of this sentence? It means that suppose this is your nucleus and this nucleus is surrounded by a first shell. Okay, because we are discussing model for hydrogen atom, and in hydrogen atom only one electron is there. So definitely that electron will be present in your K shell. He said that as long as the electron remains in the particular orbit, suppose your electron is revolving in K orbit or first orbit, it neither loses energy nor it gains energy. So as long as electron is revolving in a particular shell or particular orbit, its energy remains same. It will neither lose energy nor gain energy. That's why these orbits are also known as stationary states. It does not mean that electron is stationary. Electron is having some fixed amount of energy, and with that energy the electron is revolving around the nucleus. Then what is the meaning of this stationary state? It says that these orbits have some definite energy and the energy of the electron remains constant when the electron is revolving in a particular orbit. Energy is emitted or absorbed only when the electron jumps from one orbit to another. Suppose this is my first orbit and the electron is present in this first orbit. So this is my electron. The orbit in which the electron is initially present is known as ground state. For example, in case of hydrogen, only one electron is there. So definitely that electron will be present in your K shell or first orbit. So for hydrogen atom, the K shell or first orbit is the ground state. Suppose if we supply some energy to the electron is absorbing some energy. What will happen? It will jump to some higher level. The level to which the electron is jumping, the next higher level, it can be 2, it can be 3, it can be 4, depending upon the amount of energy given to the electron. Suppose electron jumps to second orbit. So this second orbit is known as excited state. Okay. Now excited states are unstable because electron cannot remain in the excited state for a long period of time. So ultimately the electron returns back to the ground state. And when the electron is returning back, what will happen? It will again release whatever energy it has absorbed. So energy is emitted or absorbed only when this transition is there. Otherwise, if the electron is in a particular orbit, it will continue to revolve in that particular orbit without losing or without gaining the energy. So we use the term stationary states for this orbit. Now, as I said earlier that Bohr said that these orbits have some fixed value of energy associated with them. Means each orbit has its own value of energy. Suppose this is my first orbit. The value of energy is suppose E1. This is my second orbit and the value of energy will be E2. Likewise, for third orbit, the value of energy will be E3. And yes, we can determine the values of E1, E2, E3, E4 like this. These values can be calculated. Now, suppose the electron is in ground state, that is in the first orbit. So, suppose if I want that the electron jumps to second state, I have to supply some energy. So, how much energy should I supply that the electron jumps to the second state? Definitely this energy which I am supplying should be equal to E2 minus E1. Suppose electron is revolving in the first orbit. What is the energy associated with the first orbit? E1. So electron is having E1 energy. That's why it is revolving in the first orbit. The electron wants to jump to second state. For second state, the amount of energy required is E2. Then how much energy should we supply to the electron? Definitely E2 minus E1. So this E2 minus E1 we are supplying. Now this is excited state. Now electron again returns back to ground state. So some energy will be evolved now. Now what energy is evolved? Again it will be E2 minus E1. Is this clear? So likewise we can also calculate. Suppose I want that electron jumps from first orbit to fourth orbit. Then how much energy should be supplied to the electron? This we can calculate. And when the electron is returning back, how much energy is released? This also we can calculate. So this was the special feature of Bohr's atomic model, that for each orbit the value of energy is fixed. Now the next postulate is, listen carefully, only those orbits are permitted in which the angular momentum of electron is an integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. Now where h is your Planck's constant. Now what is the meaning of this? You know about momentum. What is momentum? Momentum is mass into velocity. That is linear momentum. Since here electron is revolving around nucleus in a circular path, so for all the revolving particles we calculate angular momentum. Now suppose this is radius r, this is electron is revolving in the first orbit, suppose. So radius is r. So for a revolving particle, we calculate angular momentum, and this angular momentum is equal to mvr, mass into velocity into radius of the circular path. He said that only those orbits are permitted for which this angular momentum is in the integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. Means he gave the equation that mvr should be equal to nh upon 2 pi. Suppose electron is revolving in the first orbit. So for that orbit, the angular momentum should be equal to h upon 2 pi. The electron is revolving in the first orbit. So the angular momentum of electron revolving in the first orbit should be equal to h upon 2 pi. Suppose electron is revolving in the second orbit. For second orbit, the angular momentum of electron will be, now it will be 2h upon 2 pi, or you can say like this, h upon pi. Suppose electron is revolving in the third orbit. The MVR should be equal to 3h upon 2 pi. So what we are concluding from this? We are concluding from this that angular momentum of the electron has fixed value. Just like the energy values are fixed. So electron, if it is revolving in a particular orbit, its energy is fixed and its angular momentum is also fixed. Everything is fixed for electron. So he introduced a word that is known as quantization of angular momentum. Okay, quantized, fixed. So this postulate means angular momentum of electron is quantized. Now this quantization can be understood from this ladder also. Okay, now these are the steps of the ladder: first, second, third, fourth. Now your position on this ladder can be on step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, step number 4, and your position can never in between. Is this clear? This is quantization. So angular momentum of electron can be h upon 2 pi or 2h upon 2 pi or 3h upon 2 pi, but never in between these values. This is the meaning of quantization. So for electron, the angular momentum is also quantized and energy is also quantized. For example, if electron is in the first orbit, its energy is E1. If electron is in second orbit, its energy is E2. So electron can have E1, E2, E3, E4. The values will be like this, but never in between these values. Now let's discuss the achievements or the successes of Bohr's atomic model. Now first achievement was, it explained the stability of atom, which was the major drawback of Rutherford model. Okay, now what Bohr said? Bohr said that as the electron revolves in a particular orbit, it neither loses nor gains energy. It means electron will continue to revolve in that particular orbit for infinite time if it is not disturbed. It means your atom is stable. So this was the first achievement, that electrons revolve around the nucleus for a very, very long period of time if they are not disturbed. If light falls on the electron, then only electron is heated, then only it is excited to higher state. But again it will return back to the ground state. Means in any case the electron will not fall into the nucleus, which was the major question asked from Rutherford's atomic model. The second important achievement is Bohr's atomic model explained the atomic spectrum of hydrogen atom. Now if you remember, the spectrum of hydrogen atom consists of infinite number of lines, and for our simply understanding purpose we divide them into series: Lyman series, Balmer series, Paschen, bracket, Fun. So it finally explained that why lines appear on the photographic plate in the atomic spectrum of hydrogen. Now what is the reason behind the appearance of line on the photographic plate? Okay, this is a question. Why, if I heat sodium metal or sodium salt, yellow lines appear on the photographic plate? If I take any potassium salt, violet lines appear. And in the spectrum of hydrogen, we have infinite lines on the photographic plate. So what is the reason behind the appearance of line on the photographic plate? And each line has a particular wavelength, means the wavelength of line is also fixed. So let's discuss the explanation behind this. Now suppose you are having the electron in the hydrogen atom and this electron is in the k orbit or first orbit. Now suppose this electron is heated. When the atom is heated, ultimately the electrons are also heated up, or when light falls on the atom, then also the electrons are heated up. These electrons, so this will be the ground state. Now this electron is excited to higher level depending upon the amount of energy which it has absorbed. It can be 2, 3, 4, 5, any orbit. So suppose this is your excited state. Now, in the excited state, the electron does not remain for a longer period and ultimately the electron will return back. This we have discussed earlier also. Now, whatever energy it has absorbed here, the same amount of energy it will release also. And when this energy released, when this radiation emitted strikes the photographic plate, suppose this is my photographic plate. So when this emitted radiation strikes the photographic plate, it appears in the form of a line. So what is the line on the photographic plate? Basically, this is the impression of the radiation emitted when electron returns back from excited state to ground state. So when lines are formed? When the electron is returning back from the excited state to the ground state. Now, the next question, why we are getting different lines on the photographic plate? Sometimes we are getting 2 lines, 3 lines, and these lines have different wavelengths. If you remember, in case of sodium, we learned that the 2 lines had the wavelength of 5890 and 5896 angstrom. Now, what is the reason behind this? So, the explanation is here. Suppose the electron is in first orbit and the electron is excited to second orbit. Now, the electron is returning back and it is emitting the radiation, because line is formed only when the electron emits the radiation. Now, how much energy is released? That is E2 minus E1. Okay. Now, suppose electron is in, now here the electron is in first orbit and it is excited to third level and the electron is returning back. So, how much energy it is emitting now? That is E3 minus E1. Now, in the third case, the electron is excited to fourth level and again it is returning back. So, how much energy is released now, or how much energy is emitted now? That is E4 minus E1. So, depending upon the excited state, the values of energies are also different. Now, we have learned one formula earlier, that E is equal to h nu. This is the energy of the quantum or photon. So, replacing nu. So, C is equal to nu into lambda. So, nu can be C upon lambda. So, this lambda can be hc upon E. So, this is the formula for calculating wavelength of any radiation. Now, in the first case, suppose if I ask you that what is the wavelength of the radiation emitted? Because whatever radiation is emitted here, this radiation will make an impression on the photographic plate as it is. So, here your wavelength will be hc upon E2 minus E1, because here how much energy is released? That is E2 minus E1. In the second case, what is the wavelength of the radiation emitted? It will be hc upon E3 minus E1. Now the wavelength is changed. And what is in the next case? It is hc upon E4 minus E1. So you can see that in the 3 cases, we are obtaining different radiations, because the amount of energy emitted is also different and the wavelength is also different. This is the reason we get the lines, different lines of different wavelengths on the photographic plate. It all depends that how much energy electron is absorbing, to what level it is exciting. Okay, it depends upon the amount of energy which the electron is absorbing and to which level it is excited. Now, one important question, that why the spectrum of hydrogen has infinite or large number of lines. Now, this is a way to get the spectrum of hydrogen. This we discussed earlier. This is emission spectrum. In the discharge tube, hydrogen gas is filled, current is passed, the gas is heated up, it starts emitting radiations. These radiations, after passing through the slit, fall on the prism and then on the photographic plate, and on the photographic plate we are getting large or infinite number of lines. These lines belong to UV region also, visible region also, and IR region also, and we have divided these lines into 5 series. So one question is there that must be arising in your mind also, that hydrogen is containing a single electron, and because of that single electron, why we are getting large number of lines? For sodium, now sodium is having 11 electrons, but still the number of lines were only 2. But here, why there are so many lines for a single electron? Because single electron will be excited only once and it will be returning only once. So one line should be there. So what is the reason behind this that we are discussing? Now, the spectrum is obtained by heating the sample of hydrogen gas containing large molecules, large number of molecules. Okay. Now when this sample is heated up, these large number of molecules dissociate into atoms. And if each atom has a single electron, then large number of atoms will give large number of electrons. So the spectrum of hydrogen is not due to single electron. The spectrum of hydrogen is due to the large number of electrons which are present in large number of atoms in the discharge tube. Now these are the shells. This is nucleus, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So up to infinite shells are there. How many shells are there in the hydrogen atom? Infinite. But how many filled shells are there? Only one. Okay. Now I get the lines only when the electron returns back. Suppose my electron was initially present in the first orbit. I have supplied some energy. And suppose the electron is excited to the 6th level. Suppose. Now from the 6th level it will return to first. Because electron again returns to the ground state. This is my ground state. Suppose I have supplied some energy to the electron and it is excited to 5th level. Suppose. From the 5th level again it will return to first. Likewise, if the electron is excited to 4th level only, again it will return to first. Again from 3rd to 1st or 2nd to 1st. So electron, if it is finally returning to the first orbit from any excited state, it can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or up to infinity. We get lines in which series? Lyman series. So if you remember, we used that for Lyman N1 is always 1, but N2 can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this. So if the electron wherever it is excited, but if it returns to the first orbit, finally we get lines in the Lyman series. Lyman series, I will get lines in which region of the spectrum? In the UV region. All the wavelengths are in UV region. Now suppose the electron is excited to 6th level and the electron is returning to the 2nd level, not to the 1st level. Okay, now 2nd is also not the ground state, but electron is returning in jumps. Suppose from 6th it will return to 2nd. So I will get a line because one transition is there. Now from 2nd also it will return to 1st. So how many jumps are there? 2. So how many lines I will get? Now from 5th also it is returning to the 2nd like this. So when the electron is ultimately returning to 2nd only, we get lines in which series? Balmer. That is, all the lines are present in visible region. Suppose electron does not return to 1st or 2nd, but first it returns to 3rd level like this. Okay, we get lines in the Paschen series, that is IR. And suppose if the electron returns to 4th level, we get lines in bracket series. These also belong to IR region. And suppose electron returns to 5th level, we get lines in the Fermi series, and these also belong to IR region. So we have divided the lines into series depending on to which level the electron is returning back. Now it all depends on probability in how many jumps the electron wants to return back. Suppose the electron is excited to 6th level. Now from the 6th level, first it is returning to 2nd and then 2nd to 1. 2 jumps are there. Suppose electron is excited to 6th level. Now from 6th it is returning to 5, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. So it all depends upon the wish of the electron that in how many jumps it wants to return back. And the number of jumps is always equal to the number of lines on the photographic plate. Now this will be clear to you from this diagram. Suppose these are 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th energy levels. Okay. Now electron is excited to 4th level, and from the 4th level it is returning now. Now the electron jumps directly from 4th to 1st. I will get only one line because one transition is there. So one line I will get. And since electron is directly returning to 1st orbit, I will get line in the Lyman series. Okay, so one line in the Lyman. Now here electron is first returning to 2nd state. So one line I will get here. and from second to one line here. So how many lines will be there? 2 lines. One line will be in Lyman because electron is first returning to second. Sorry, one line will be in Balmer because electron is first returning to second, and then in the Lyman. So 2 lines I will get. Suppose electron is first returning to third level. So 1 line I will get here. And from third to first. So again I will get 2 lines. Now fourth to third. 1 line I will get in Paschen series and 1 line I will get in Lyman series. Now here 3 transitions are there, so 3 lines. Okay, 1 line in the Paschen series because electron is finally returning to the third level. Here the electron is returning to the second level, so I will get line in the Balmer series and finally in the Lyman series. Now this all depends on the probability, so there must be some formula to calculate the number of lines. So there is one formula to calculate the number of lines, and that formula is n into n minus 1 upon 2. Okay, this formula is basically from probability topic. And what is n? N is the number of excited state from which the electron is returning back. That how many total lines are possible. Suppose if I ask you the question that calculate the total number of lines when the electron returns back from 6th level. Now if the electron is returning back from 6th level, so how many lines will be there? 6 into 6 minus 1 upon 2. So it is 6 into 5 upon 2, that is 15. So how many lines are possible? 15 lines are possible. So what is n here? N is the number of the excited or the higher level.